What we've been deeming as the esoteric and the occult is pretty much the science that we haven't yet started practicing. I started having these spontaneous astral projection experiences. So at the time, I was furiously writing every single thing in copybooks like this one. For years, I've kept a record of it like a diary. And then I started researching the science. Over the course of my experiences, I've also traveled to societies that are a lot more evolved than us, and I've seen society, the likes of which this society is supposed to become. The goal is what we see there in the astral series of light, to build it here. As above, so below.
Today's conversation is with Selma Hare. She is a scientifically minded woman who says that during one period of her life, she began having spontaneous out-of-body experiences almost every night and then documented them obsessively. And in here, what she describes as seeing raises a much bigger question about us, consciousness, reality, and what may exist beyond the physical. This is a deep and fascinating one. Enjoy. Selma, welcome to the podcast, my lovely.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
I know it's really early where you are, so I appreciate you making the effort to get up early. I've been in the similar role on the other side sometimes with other guests, so I know how it can feel sometimes, but it's greatly appreciated. And I just want to ask you the first question that I ask everyone on the podcast, and that is, if we were at an intimate dinner party right now and you sat next to a complete stranger and they asked you what you did for a living, how would you respond?
I would say I'm an educator during the day and a researcher at night.
What do you educate in?
I educate secondary students in geography, human geography, global perspectives and research, oftentimes in history as well, because that's my actual qualification, history and archaeology. And that's that. And as for research, I research people, the human evolution, where we came from, where we're going, anthroposophy, philosophy, and Gnosticism.
What was anthroposophy? What was that word you just said? That's a big word.
It's full of big words, what I bring to you today. And in the beginning, I too kind of stumbled with a few of them. Anthroposophy is the science of spirituality. It's from it started around the 19th century. And ever since, it's been completely ignored by people, but it's there, by Rudolf Steiner at the end of the 19th century, an Austrian philosopher and the founder of a spiritual science. But there are more like him, and I can tell you why he started doing this.
Yeah, so absolutely. So as we break it down, because I know you've had some pretty amazing experiences that I want to dive into and get you to share in a moment. So would it be fair to say that you've got quite an analytical mind and you're coming from that space before leaning into the spirituality aspect?
I do. I have an incredibly scientifically oriented analytical mind. For years, I wanted to do a PhD because I thought, I'm a scientist because I have been the scientist in many past lifetimes. Why am I not getting a PhD in something? And then it dawned on me when I started having these spontaneous astral projection experiences in the transition between 2011 and 2012, it dawned on me, because what I want to research is not mainstream science. So I cannot do it through the academic realm. They'll tell me to take a walk. But I'm still a scientist, so I still need to research it and write down my research. And so I did. So at the time, I was furiously writing every single thing in copybooks like this one, writing every single experience that I was having furiously. For years, I've kept a record of it like a diary. And then I started researching the science.
Wow. So, okay, there's two questions, because this podcast is going greatly organic, which I love. And that is one of the questions is, Are you talking you've had lots and lots and lots of these astral experiences? And B, what was your life like before 2011, 12, before you started having them? Were you spiritually, did you have a spiritual background? Were you looking into this kind of stuff?
Oh, it was dreadful. My life was dreadful. My parents, they'd given me no spiritual cornerstone because they were too young when they had me, and they were both way too busy fighting their own monsters. Um, what happened is that I wasn't exactly spiritual, but from very early I could see that I had strange experiences on the other side. It's just that in 2011 it became very profusive. At the time, I'd been working as an archaeologist. I'd been
Mhm.
working for the National Museum of Archaeology in Lisbon, and then I'd gone to London for my master's, and then in archaeology. And then after that, it was no. As soon as I finished the master's, is the 2008 credit crunch, right? So there are no jobs. There are no jobs. I start teaching. That's exactly how it happened. Luckily enough, I wasn't bad at it. Luckily enough for me, I'm a communicator. So I also did a couple of office jobs for a second, which were the most miserable experience of my life. And I said, never again. I'm a communicator. I like to talk, I like to research, I like to convey. So let me teach. So I was teaching when these experiences in Hong Kong, I was in Hong Kong when these experiences started. Um, and they were
Question,
so profusive. Sure,
yeah,
please go ahead.
question before you get into that then. Did anything trigger those experiences, or did they just, started happening one day?
I, to this very day, I feel like there was intervention from the other side because I was so miserable. I'm living in Hong Kong, and instead of having a blast like any other normal person, because it's Hong Kong, it's busy, it's cool, it's hip, but I'm not into cool and hip and superficial. So I was miserable. I was in the wrong place. I was totally misaligned with my life, doing the wrong thing. I was
Mhm.
surrounded by people who meant nothing, with whom I had nothing in common, going through these terrible experiences. And so I feel like there was intervention from the other side. At one point, someone on the other side may have said, listen, this is not working. She's totally misaligned. If we don't give it, we have to give this to her now to see if we can push her into aligning herself into what she has to do. But this is just my belief. And when it comes to belief, you can take it for what it is. You can take it with a pinch of salt. I don't bring you any empirical evidence for any of what I'm here with share. So I'll tell people take it with a pinch of salt. Okay, these are just my experiences that I candidly share in the hopes of starting a conversation about it.
Beautiful. And can you remember your first experience and what you were doing in Hong Kong at the time? Like,
Very well.
and what
Very well.
happened in that first experience?
Very well. I remember this one time having a student in the morning, early in the morning, she couldn't stop singing. And she couldn't stop singing some song that would go, babble, 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 babble. And then she would say, all is well, all is well, all is well. And I'm like, what is going on with you today? Where did you get that song from? A movie that I watched in the weekend. Sure enough, Saturday came in. I went and I watched the movie. I don't remember the name of the movie now. It was a Bollywood movie. And with the catch song, that was exactly that, this and that, all is well, all is well. That same night, I went to bed and I ended up in something that looked like an Indian city from the Mughal period. The Mughal period was when the Islamic caliphate came into India, and it resulted in constructions like the Taj Mahal, right? And that's what it looked. And I'm walking around. I'm walking down this road that is sided by these wonderful, wonderful trees, gilded by these trees and palm trees. Absolutely gorgeous road. Onwards in the direction of this temple slash library. And as I look at myself, I have this really long braid that I'm wearing to the side, and I'm wearing something that looks a bit like a futuristic sari of some type. And I go into that temple or library. I see other people passing by. I go into that temple and library, and I remember seeing this bust of a god, an Egyptian god, Anubis, by the way, the god of mummification. I turn it around, and I remember that I had written an article about the bust of Anubis turning around on its own axis at the National Museum in Scotland, at the History Museum in Scotland. And so my brain went into wanting to know why that had happened. As soon as I did that, I saw the god Anubis right in front of me, looking very authoritarian, and he's asking me for my name. And I said, I I'm very naughty. So I wasn't believing in the experience that I was having. So I said, Maat. Maat is the name of a goddess, the celestial librarian, an Egyptian goddess, as if in saying, if you are Anubis, I am Maat. Like, this is not happening. This is how I am a bit on the other side. So I also said, yeah, I'm an Egyptian goddess too. Maat. And he said, your real name. And I'm like, oh, dude, this experience is real. And then but I said again, Maat. And he says, Selma. And I woke up. This was my first very lucid experience. This was an astral. Now I know that this was an astral city.
Wow. So, question for you, like, because everyone's listening to this now, and they could go, well, how does that feel? How does that, when you're experiencing that, did it seem just like a dream, or does it feel like you're there? And when you come back, do you feel yourself going in out of the body? Like, how would you describe it?
It feels more real than this reality here. And this is the mind bender, because this reality is physical. Look, my notes, my pen, it's physical. So this should feel more real for us. But when it's that lucid, when the experience is that organic, you can smell the smells. And just your sense of awareness is so much more acute than what it is here. Because out there, you don't function only with your five senses. Out there, you also communicate through telepathy. So you function with all of these other senses that here you don't have. So the experience feels actually a lot more real and organic there than it feels here. And this is a mind bender. This is something that then you need help with processing this. Because how do you wake up Monday morning and go back to your job after having had experiences that feel like they are more real than this reality where you pay the taxes and you go to work and whatever, pay the rent, whatever. You see what I mean?
I do. That I ended up starting a podcast wondering what to do with some of those experiences myself.
There you
350,
go.
350 episodes later, it's fascinating. So I'm curious to know then, what did you, once you had that experience, and this was 2011 and 12, what did you do with
Mhm.
that? You're still in Hong Kong. Did they start happening like frequently, or was that a one-off at first? What happened?
I packed up. I packed up and went home to Portugal. And then it was incredibly profusive. And Portugal, let me tell you, because it's mostly coastline and water has a very cleansing and at this has a very. I've come to understand that in places where there's a lot of water, because water is cleansing, the veil is also thinner. So let me tell you something about Portugal, especially around the coast. The veil is incredibly thin. And so all of a sudden, I'm plugged in. I'm plugged into the quantum, and every single night, I have something which I describe as the Windows series. And in my book, I write a chapter called The Science Behind the Windows series. I want to understand what's happening to me. That's why I wrote it, which is I would stand up, I would look at the bed, and I would see my body. You fall asleep, right? I'd fall asleep. Then I would stand up, look at the bed, see my body, look at the window, open the window, and fly off. This was always my process. Not before sometimes crossing over some spirit, some stuck consciousness. This biker who had just died, the girl at one point, this man.
You were seeing them? They were coming up to you when you.
Yes, they were just there. They were just there and very confused. At this point, I was living right in front of this beach, but between myself and the beach, there was a busy road. So at this point, I saw a biker that had just had an accident covered with blood, and he's very confused, like, what happened? And I'm like, but at that point, I was already used to it. It was like, yes, so you're here, but you're not. But I was very inexperienced crossing over spirit, because these were the first times that it was happened to me. Okay, so you just had an accident. You need to see the light. And I'm thinking, I think this is what I'm supposed to say. You need to go and see the light. So in the beginning, it was very clumsy because I didn't know what to do to cross these people over. But then later, this one girl taught me how to cross over. This one girl who kept pestering me every single night. She would pester me as if I'd stolen her boyfriend. It was a teenage girl. And there's a reason why I'm saying this. She'd passed away, and she's pestering me every night, until this one fine night I told her, you need to stop. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about what happened to you. I'm sorry. So there was resentment related to women that she had, something that a boy had done to her. And she resented people in general, but there was also a jealousy of women. And I just told her, I am sorry. I am so sorry. And I'm crying, and I hug her. But as the first time I said, I'm so sorry about what happened to you, she completely melted, and her energy completely shifted from very dark to light blue. And I managed to cross her over into an astral city that is above Portugal.
So, question, just you're opening lots of loops. So, what is stopping
I
them from
know.
crossing
Sorry.
over? No, that's great. This is what a podcast for me is all about. I love it. So, what?
Consciousness can get stuck for several reasons, most of them connected to negative emotions. The main reason is people not understanding that they've dropped the body. And the second reason is being so dense in vibration that they cannot see their light mentors that are right next to them. Light mentors are also what people call guardian angels, right? People call them
Or
spirit guides
guides?
or guardian
Mm.
angels. Yeah. So when I talk about light mentors, that's what I'm talking about. So they are so dense in vibration, be it because of sadness, anger, resentment, whatever negative emotion that really makes them so dense that they can't even see their guides or their light mentors next to them trying to cross them over to the other side. Consciousness can get stuck on this earth for years, for decades even. But usually, also, what happens, and it's worse than getting stuck here, is to densen so much that you end up in the Umbra. But that's a whole other 9 yards. And
In
I
the
don't know
what?
whether you want me to go there. In the Umbra.
What's that?
So, between this planet, between the surface of the earth, the crust of the earth, and the astral and space, you have some spiritualists or anthroposophists call it the Umbra. All of that is the Umbra, which is the fourth dimension.
Like the
The Umbra
collective
is the fourth,
consciousness thought? Would that be
where
it?
the
Or
it's there. The collective consciousness thought is also there. It's the fourth dimension. It's a layer between the earth and space where you have the stratosphere, atmosphere, all of that. All of
okay.
that, after all of that, you have the fourth dimension. And that's the Umbra. The upper part of the Umbra, the upper part of the fourth dimension, is where the astral cities of light start, is where people, if everything goes right, go to after they drop the body. What the religious people call the sky, or heaven, what the religious people call heaven. Emanuel Swedenborg would speak of several heavens and several hells. He was onto something. So, and that's where you see the astral cities at the edge of the fourth dimension. And then fifth, sixth, seven, eight, nine, you have astral cities all over those dimensions upwards that are lighter in dimension, right? But it starts at the edge of the fourth dimension. The lower part of the fourth dimension that we call the Umbra, but in fact, all of it is the Umbra, because Umbra just means threshold, what is in between, right? But the lower part of the fourth dimension, you have astral cities of density, where a lot of the consciousness that gets stuck ends up in. Seldom repeating cycles, and just it's what religious people would call hell or purgatory. It's real, it exists, but it's not punishment. It's just that if I live this lifetime, let's imagine that in this lifetime, I live this lifetime very dense. I'm very angry because I found out that my husband was cheating on me. So, and I die, and oh, and now he's with his lover. Things like this happen all the time, by the way. Now he's going to be able to marry his lover. No, I end up, my vibration becomes a match to the vibration of the astral cities of density in the Umbra. And so I naturally end up there. And from time to time, I even escape to come and haunt them a little bit. No, 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 you're not going to be happy with her. You know, monkey business like that, primitive monkey stuff that people still do while alive and continue to do after death. But because I'm now no longer in physical form, my energy body cannot sustain here for too long. So I can only come in stints, and then immediately I'm pushed back into the Umbra. So that's the not so nice side of spirituality that often New Agers ignore. Gaslighting, people who are into gaslighting spirituality, they ignore this. I don't blame them though. Everybody is where they are. But I'm an holistic person. I like to go everywhere. I want to have the full picture. And so, just as much as I speak of the astral cities of light, I also speak of the astral cities of density, because a lot of people end up there because we are still not behaving right, because we need Jesus.
Well, okay. So the astral cities of light, I've heard it spoken in many different ways through different podcasts and that. How do you perceive them then? What are their purposes? And you mentioned that each dimension has an astral city. Is that what you of light? Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Have you
And
been
during
to
my
these as
experience,
well? Yeah.
yes, yes, a few.
Okay.
During my experience with the Windows series, my Windows series experience, where I, open the window and fly off. And I always end up in different dimensions. Oftentimes, what I do is that I'm in space. Sometimes I'm hovering in space, and I see what looks like a black hole or a wormhole, and I just fall into it. And then there's there. It's usually a black hole with two event horizons. I fall into one event horizon, and then I end up falling into a second event horizon, and there's another dimension. Usually, it's an astral city of light, and this is what they are there for, according then to the literature that I have read, because then I had to go and study to make sense of my own experiences. There's this Brazilian medium called Francisco Cândido Xavier, is more commonly known as Chico Xavier, who has written a book called Our Home, O Nosso Lar, where he claims to describe through mediumship exactly what a lot of astral cities of lights over Brazil look like. And his experiences kind of, or my experiences corroborate a lot of what he writes. So in the astral cities of light, first of all, it's a city. So you have hospitals, spiritual hospitals, because we usually, when we come in from this experience, we need a little healing, right? To undensen, to lighten up. We need a little healing. We need a little love. But mostly these are places of learning where you have a lot of workshops taking place, like the things that you do here, you were probably doing before in the astral cities of light, Guy, with these workshops and things, lectures, because the astral cities of light are there to heal you and to progress you spiritually and prepare you for your next stint on Earth, in case you still need one. Now, when you are there, it usually takes, according to Francisco Cândido Xavier, and I don't quote me on that because I don't know that. This is what Francisco Cândido Xavier says. Is that it takes you around 30 to 40 years on average. This is an average for you to prepare your next lifetime. Why? Why do you now you would probably ask, but why do you have to come back, right? Because we are still too attached to the 3D. There are still lessons that we have to learn here. Oftentimes there is still pardon, karma that we have here, things that we need to bring into balance here. And when our bodies are still in the 3D mode, we cannot stay in the astral cities of light beyond that. because then we start suffering because our bodies are not light enough yet, are not a vibration enough to the astral cities of light for us to stay there. So that means that we need to go back to 3D to finish our schooling process here. And then after enough stints, we graduate exactly like in school. And so imagine that you go to an astral city of
Wow.
light, but you've already learned everything that you had to do in the earth school, in the 3D school. Then you graduate to 4D, you reincarnate in a lifetime in 4D or 5D, 6D, and so on and so forth. I hope
What
I
does
explained this
time?
better.
What it does? Yeah, I've heard it. Like I said in different ways. What does time feel like then? Because you speak about years and things like once we go beyond that, if we were to stay in these cities, does
Yes.
time feel different? Because as we shift, like what I've found once I get in very deep meditative states or I've left the body in my own experiences, like time gets really warped, and when I come back it might only be, I don't know, it could be a long time or a very short time, but the experience doesn't correlate to the time that it felt like when I was.
Beyond warped. Yes, beyond warped. Time in these astral cities, there is still a certain linearity in 4D, but then in 5D, there's no linearity whatsoever. So there is still a certain linearity in the astral cities, but from what I've come to understand, time there works very differently from here. So when I talk about 30 to 40 years, those are earthly years. Those are earthly years. In terms of the astral city, the time is different, and I don't know how much that would be, but it's different. It goes by, what I know is that it goes by faster. What I've come to understand is that it goes by faster there. But again, there's still a certain linearity, but time is very different than what it is here in the 3D. And then in the 5D, there's no linear time whatsoever. Actually, I wanted to say time goes by slower. I said faster, but time goes by slower in the astral cities of light.
When you started having these experiences, like, were you were you having them voluntarily? Like, were you then excited to explore it? Were you terrified? Was it just happening spontaneously all the time and you didn't have any control over it? Like,
No
how did
control.
that start, and how has that relationship changed? Because I've certainly learned a lot along the way around those experiences.
Yeah. They were always spontaneous, and they were incredibly profusive for a full year from between the transition between 2011 and 2012, almost every day, very, very profusive and very spontaneous. And it felt very strange to me because then early in the morning I had to go work and nothing made sense to me. Why am I doing this job? Why am I living this life here if it's not real? So it's kind of trippy, and you have to be careful. That's why I went to a doctor at some point, and she told me, "Oh, you know what they tell you? You're just lucid dreaming. It's fine. I'm just going to give you something for you to sleep more profoundly." And as soon as she gave me something for me to sleep more profoundly, the experiences stopped being as profusive.
Hmm.
I learned to have, as far as control, I learned to have control over them as I went. In the beginning, there was no control, and anyone could come and talk to me. But then I learned to control the experience, to direct the experience. And I learned to ask my light mentors also where I wanted to go, what I wanted to see. And so I remember at one point asking my light mentors, why do I feel such a deep connection to Russia? Because I remember at one point, my first hotel that I stayed in Hong Kong, the second hotel where I stayed in Hong Kong before I got a place, was just Russian people. And I'm like, oh, this is where all the Russian families come to. And I always felt like I belong around Russian people, even though I don't know the language. I obviously don't look any Russian. It's very odd. It felt like home. I feel the same with Japan, about Japan, because I had many lifetimes in Japan. Japan is the place where I've had the most lifetimes. But I also feel this thing about Russia. And my sister's second name is Karina, but for some reason I've always called her Katarina. And then, so I asked my life mentors, okay, since this is happening to me, let me ask you for some favors then. Let me try and conduct these experiences a little bit. Why do I feel a connection to Russia? And why do I feel like that's connected to my sister? And I call her Katerina. Sure enough, I open the window at night. I'm hovering through space, and then I fall through a black hole. Event horizon opens, and I fall on a bed. And I'm this woman with a long side braid. I'm this Russian woman. I'm in bed holding a baby girl, a baby child, newborn, and surrounded by other women. There are other women in bed with me. And to the bottom, and we are in this log home. To the bottom of the log home, there's a bunch of men who are talking, and it was separated, the men to one side, the women to the other side. And I have a long brown braid, and I'm holding this baby who has like green snort. I'll never forget, it had green snort on the nose. So that probably means that it was sick. And I looked, it was so organic that I looked at my nails, and my nails were dirty. And I could smell the smell. I can smell the smell of the wood even now that I'm talking about it. So, okay, I had at least one past life in Russia, in what looked like medieval Russia. And then I looked at myself with the whole medieval Russian gear. It's beyond. That was just one of the many experiences that where I had more control and asked to see.
You mentioned an event horizon appeared. You've mentioned that a few times. Can you explain what
So
that is
crazy.
for everyone,
So
please?
crazy. So crazy. So that's beyond. Because then I had to get into black holes. Okay, I will
So,
get into it. I'll get into it. So black holes, black holes are not supposed to have entropy, right? What current physics tells us is that if your physical body falls through a black hole, it becomes spaghettified,
okay,
right?
let me pause you there for so let's break it down for everyone and the listeners. So you mentioned entropy, and I'm very familiar with the term of lowering of entropy. So you from disorder to
Oh,
order. Is that
to
correct?
order. Exactly.
Right.
So then until 1970, uh, the consensus was if your physical body falls through a black hole, it becomes spaghettified. But then Birkenstein, the scientist from Princeton, he said, no, 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 no. Black holes have entropy. Entropy meaning they are chaotic. We cannot predict exactly what happens. And he based that on the third law of thermodynamics, right? That says that everything can have entropy and everything can be chaotic. And then in 74, Hawking kind of corroborated that. So the consensus among the scientists, among most physicists now, is that black holes have entropy. Also, Hawking in the 74 study also said that if there is a star that coalesces into a black hole, it expands the event horizon is the mouth of the black hole. It expands the mouth of the black hole. That any object that gets in touch with the event horizon, with the mouth of the black hole, expands it. And what more, Hawking also verified that when two black holes coalesce into one another, the event horizon also expands. And it creates a second event horizon on the other side of the black hole. And sure enough, in my experiences, the ones where I fell through a black hole, I felt as my energy body is falling through the black hole, the event horizon is widening to accommodate me, to accommodate the experience of my falling, like Alice in Wonderland, falling through the rabbit hole. The rabbit hole adjusts to her. The event horizon adjusts to me. I fall, and I fall into another event horizon. So it seems to me, and physicists would call me a nut, but please look into this, physicists out there. But Hawking said this, not me. It seems to me like an energy body will not get spaghettified if it coalesces into a black hole. Not only that, the black hole will adjust to it so that it can propitiate the experience of us falling into it and ending up in some other dimension.
Okay. So I've what I'm thinking of is a wormhole. You could say that would be the same thing.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
because I had an experience where I went down one in where I got pulled. I came out of body and went. It opened up and it went down one, and it was a very life-defining moment for me that I had that experience. So
Oh,
I
it
just
is,
want
isn't it?
I just want to qualify
Getting
what you've just
fever.
said because I've experienced something like that myself, and I never
I'm getting
shared these
fever.
things. But I also look at the work of Nassim Haramein that speaks of that everything at a quantum level is a wormhole that is coming in and out. So I'm no scientist and I have not researched it clearly to the depth that you were going with a lot of this stuff. But I find it fascinating that the very fabric or the makeup of the universe is way beyond anything I can even comprehend at all. And once you start opening up to these experiences, it's almost like you know where to look if you.
Completely.
Mm,
And even us having access to these experiences is basically what's happening in our bodies. It's basically in our physical bodies. What is happening is that in our physical bodies, the chemistry, our chemistry, because I do feel that there's also DMT, right, that we produce naturally in our brains. And until
mm-hmm,
very recently, the consensus was that we only produce DMT, dimethyltryptamine, which is a very, very, very powerful psychedelic compound that we only produced it at two moments
birth.
of our lives, birth and death. But ever since, the scientific community has already reached the consensus that we also produce it during REM, rapid eye movement. So it's the DMT, these surges of DMT that we are producing, that is allowing for the consciousness to be released from our bodies. So basically, what we have is this homeostatic balance between quantum and chemistry, the chemistry in our physical bodies coming together with the quantum so as to release the consciousness for us to have these experiences in the astral. So you see, everything is science at the end of the day. I guess this is what I wanted to say. Um, I'm not. This is so much. What I wanted to say is that what we've been deeming as the esoteric and the occult is pretty much the science that we haven't yet started practicing, if it makes sense. But if we put our minds to using actual objective rationality, which in the end is the only type of rationality it is, objective rationality, and unbiased critical thinking, which is the only type of critical thinking that it is, unbiased critical thinking, all of this that we deem to the esoteric and occult is only but the science that we don't yet know and that we don't yet practice. And it's only when mainstream science rids itself of that corporocratic, dogmatic ethos that it engages in currently that it will be able to make huge leaps in understanding
mm.
these things that we are talking about today.
But do you think science is going to, like mainstream science, is ever going to go down that without having agendas behind it? Of there's so much
Universities are
in
dying. I
right.
think, sorry for interrupting you. I think it
It's
will
okay.
eventually be pushed into that as the current socioeconomic paradigm crumbles. Universities are dying, let's face it, because no one has the money to go and get masters and PhDs anymore. Definitely not in the US. Even in Europe, it's becoming where it's free. In a lot of universities, it's becoming hard because okay, university is free, but then you still need to put food on the table and pay the rent in in an economy that is terrible and where British people can hardly foot the electric bill these days. And the Germans are also struggling with the same. So universities are really, really struggling right now. You have only the people, the children of the elite, and the children of the elite are hardly interested in studying because they don't have to study and they don't have to get jobs.
Mm,
So eventually, I do believe that mainstream science, and it's already there, mainstream science is already starting to touch it little by little. You have already an Institute of Esoteric Studies in the Netherlands. So it's already there. It's starting to have Denmark. In Denmark, from time to time, they have a PhD in European esotericism, also, the
okay.
University of Copenhagen. So we are getting there baby steps. And uh, universities are understanding that they need to leave the dogma behind if they want to attract students, because no one wants to study string theory ad eternum. Okay, we've been doing that for too long. There is more. Theory is fascinating, but there is more to it than string theory.
How many of these experiences would you say you've had?
I wouldn't be able to count them. So 2011, almost every day. Until the second half of 2012, almost every day. So I couldn't begin to count them. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And it would be, please go ahead. Please go
I was
ahead.
going to say, and what happened between 2012 and now?
For some reason, they stopped being so profusive. Well, life also happened, right? And I had to continue to travel and deroute myself to find jobs. And as an international teacher, usually the country chooses you. You hardly ever choose the country, and especially under the current economy. And they stopped being as profusive. That's what happened. But they still happen. I still have them, just more sporadically.
What do you like? Have you written a book? Is that what's happened?
Yeah,
Or are you in the making of writing it? Is it finished? Is it out there?
I wrote it. I wrote it finally 2 years ago. I grabbed hold of my notes and I said, Selma, this is a book. I had notebooks and notebooks plus things written on the computer as well. So I put it all together in a month and then gave myself another month to update the research. And I had written a book. It's called Images of Cosmology and the Gaian Project, where New Age philosophy meets the science. And it's on Amazon. Shameless
Okay.
plug-in.
That's okay. Yeah.
And finally, it's a compendium of not all of my experiences, because I couldn't fit it all into one book, but of most of my experiences, and with the second part where I tried to make sense of it scientifically. After every single of the experiences in my book, I tried to make sense of it with the extent science. And a lot of it can already be made sense of with the extent science. That's what I started to understand. Not to mention even that, even though you can take my word for it, because these are my experiences. Even the other day, I went to Bucharest, went to a conference by Dr. Michio Kaku, the science event of the year, they called it. And he was talking about how scientists can already see your dreams. And I gasped. The entire audience gasped. Stop, stop, no, no. And then he actually showed us pictures of people's dreams. Sure enough, I can see a woman playing the piano in a picture. The quality obviously is not very good yet, but it was there. So Dr. Michio Kaku, the physicist and futurist, the astrophysicist and futurist, he was showing us pictures of people's dreams. Scientists are already doing this, but people don't know because we are too distracted by Beyonce's last record.
Moly.
I mean, bless her soul, but this is what I'm trying to say.
How are they doing that with the dreams?
I didn't understand, and he didn't go into the details of
Okay,
it.
that's
Taking
wild.
photographs, but it's beyond wild. And I can't wait for it to be online, for that conference to be online, so that people see that I'm not making it up. It happened in Bucharest. I went. The public gasped. I gasped. I'm really looking forward for them to put that conference on YouTube.
Do you ever question why these experiences were happening for you?
To, I feel like it was to wake me, pardon my French, the heck up and align me, because I was completely lost with my life. I done archaeology, but now I am teaching. What am I supposed to do? I'm not happy. This planet is not enough for me. This planet is too small for me. That's why I was traveling. That's why I became an international teacher, traveling from place to place, looking for what? Nothing. And so in Hong Kong, I feel like the experiences started because my team, my light team, may have said at one point, let's give it to her now, otherwise she will never wake up, and let's give her this mission. In the meantime, I've also come to understand that I've come into this life with no plan. My plan was to have no plan and to just have complete freedom, to have complete and absolute freedom to choose what I wanted to do, which is why I felt so lost, because most people come in with a plan or with a contract. But for some reason, Smarty Pants me on the other side said, oh, this time I want to come in with no plan, total free will. I don't know
What do
why
you?
I did that.
That's okay. I'm sure it will all become apparent. Why? What do you? What do you hope? Like with this profound insights that you've been having, and they are unique, but there seems to be more and more conversations happening online, podcasts like this, people coming forward,
Mm-hmm.
sharing, experiencing. I mean, we hold space for a lot of people. We run retreats and workshops, and we were in New Zealand to 200 people just last weekend,
Awesome. Oh,
and
wow.
even in a 4-hour workshop, some people are having profound experiences, deep mystical spiritual experiences, love, deceased loved ones they're experiencing, connecting
Mm,
to, and having also, not everyone, just, but and it can be quite well, once you start to have a knowing as opposed to an analytical understanding, then nobody, that's wisdom, isn't it? Nobody can take that away from you once you start to have these
indeed.
experiences. I guess my question is, with all that, is what do you hope for people to get out of this? And from your experience of what you're learning and continue to learn, research, and share, where do you think it's taking it all for
Trust
you?
your experiences and awaken. Because, as I say at the end of my book, uh, the goal, the ultimate goal, is for us to learn how to build a more fairer, more equitable socioeconomic paradigm here. Because over the course of my experiences, and I'm sure that you may have had experiences like that as well, or not, I don't know. But over the course of my experiences, I've also traveled to societies that are a lot more evolved than us. And I've spoken to people, what we here would call aliens, from other planets. And I've seen societies, the likes of which this society is supposed to become. And so the goal is for us to, what we see there in the astral cities of light, to build it here. As above, so below. As above, so below.
What does that feel like when you when you have an experience of, like you just described, going to a completely different civilization and experiencing that?
I feel like I belong. I feel like I belong there more than I belong here, which is silly. But over the years, that's how I felt. I've only really deeply enrooted myself to planet Earth recently. And because I was being very naughty to Gaia, because Gaia, Earth, is propitiating this experience for me. And there I go off into space all the time instead of rooting myself
Right.
into this planet and into this experience now, which is why now I'm rooted. I'm no longer having as many experiences. I'm writing a second book, a book about women, a Gaian book, a book about Gaia. And I'm done flying off. I will still have my experiences because that's what I am. I'm a bit of a quantum witch, but I am also a forest witch. And I've recently retrieved my connection to Gaia, in because I've been in every single lifetime of mine, with exception to only one. I was an esotericist,
You've
even if in hiding.
Wow, sorry, can you repeat that? You've been in every other lifetime. You've
An
gone out of body.
esotericist, yes, even if in hiding. There was only one lifetime where I was not an esotericist and was actually very religious, Orthodox. I was in that lifetime. I was a teacher. I was a rich lady in Romania who would teach who would teach the children from my community, and I was very Orthodox, very religious. But with exception to that one lifetime, I've always been like a witch, even if in
Wow.
hiding,
Do
even
you,
if in
d
hiding.
Sorry, I'm jumping a little bit there, but do you believe then our lifetimes are running parallel, and they're all actually being experienced?
In 5D, yes. In 5D, because there's no time. In 5D, if you will, it's files on the computer. It's files
Mm-hmm.
on the desktop. That's the imagery, the best imagery that I can get for it. In 5D, it's also layered like an onion, so it's all happening at the same time every time. And something that happens to me with my experiences now, actually, there's been a shift last year where I've shifted into just coming across lost tapes of other people's lives. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I should have seen that. Uh-oh. Lost tapes of other people's lives. Like, for instance, the other day I came across this. And I incorporate them as well. I incorporate them. But I knew that that wasn't a lifetime of mine. So I incorporate this woman called Amelia de Kohari. Then I found out when I woke up, I Googled her and I found her immediately because I was given the name also while I was on that. No, not Amelia. Maria Antonia. Maria Antonia de Kohari. And she was from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And I saw myself in her, and I saw myself running through this palace corridor. And then I looked in this mirror and I'm her, and I freak out, like, why do I look like this girl? Caucasian with brown hair, Regency style, puffy dress, puffy purple dress from the Regency style, and I'm in her body, and I know that I'm running because they are marrying me off. They are going to marry me off to this cousin, and I don't want to. And she's having a panic attack, basically. And then I woke up, and my astral mentors told me that was a lost tape. That was not your past lifetime. That was a lost tape from that girl's lifetime. And she's the mother of European royalty, by the way, because then I researched.
Wow. Just as we wrap up the podcast. No, that's great. It's been an intriguing conversation. I appreciate it, Selma. What do you feel about people that are listening to this? Should they go seeking this? Should they just be focusing on the earth, Gaia, and the earthly plane, and diving into their experiences here? Like, is it's easy to bypass? Because you kind of led into that yourself a little bit, where, instead of coming into this of what I have and accepting who I am and where I am, and being very present with this, it was easy for you to just go off into the astral all the time.
That's such a great question, because we are in service to people when we do these interviews, isn't it? What I would say is, and I usually say this in my own YouTube channel, I will never be the sort of person who will teach you how to astral project in 5 steps or 10 steps or however many steps people do, because there are videos like that on TikTok and whatnot. I'm never going to be the sort of person that says, go have the experience, because I feel like I had it when my life mentors felt like I was prepared. I would never tell anyone, go in search of this experience. Just be present, be here, be in the moment, ground yourself with this planet. And if these experiences are supposed to come to you, they will. Just be aware that there is more beyond Gaia, and that we truly are multidimensional beings. And with that thought, root yourselves in this planet so that we can shift what is currently happening in this planet. Now, we don't have to do it. I don't have to change the world. Shift what is happening in this planet through shifting in ourselves, into better consciousness awareness, into expanding our consciousness awareness. So take these videos like this, just to expand your consciousness awareness. And then, so far as these experiences happening to you is concerned, they will come to you if they have to, when they have to. I would not advise anyone to go and force that experience. But anyway, to each his own or her own as well, right?
No, beautiful. I fully agree with you. I really do. I feel like heaven is on earth. And if even though it can feel like it didn't, and it certainly didn't feel like for me for a large part of my life, but the more I've just actually owned up to myself and lent into what's there for me, and sort of heal my own wounds, my traumas, and actually understand energy medicine a lot more, and work with my body and let it move, my whole state of being has changed. My relationship with myself, my relationship with other people, and really seeing and feeling the gratitude and the beauty for what is. And I feel if we allow ourselves to yearn for that state and actually start to bring that in, everything shifts. And then you stop seeking outside of yourself all the time. Those things naturally come.
It changes you cellularly, isn't it? And it completely strips you off some a lot of what was ego. Also, like my
Yeah.
wanting to do a PhD for all those years, that was more my ego than anything else because I'm a scientist and I want to study what? It's your ego. You just want to get into some vanity project for no reason. No, Selma, write about your experiences. This is what you are getting urged by spirituality to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Selma, wrapping up the podcast, you got a book. So, where can people buy your book if they want to find out more?
Unfortunately, it's only on Amazon
That's okay.
right
You don't
now.
have a hard
It's
copy?
called I don't have a hard copy with me at the moment because I just moved and I had to leave everything behind. I had to leave all of my books behind. So I'm ever so sorry about that. I haven't got a
No,
hard copy, but it's called,
but people can buy it in
yes,
hard copy? Yeah,
people can buy it in hard copy and they can
great.
also buy the online version, both on Amazon. It's called Images of Cosmology and the Gaian Project, where New Age science meets, where New Age philosophy meets the science by Selma Hare.
All right, awesome. And you have a YouTube channel as well. There'll be links in the show
Yes.
notes. I'll get the guys to do it. Yeah.
Oh,
What's your
thanks a
YouTube channel
million.
called? That's all right.
Selma Hare. Selma Hare. Selmahare. Selma Hare. Hare as in the rabbit.
Bunny Rabbit, yeah.
Or the
As
one, the
in,
bunny rabbit. Yeah.
yeah, Alice in Wonderland. And
Yeah.
do you have a website?
I don't, not as of yet, but I'll be working on that. And as soon as I do get that together, I will be letting everybody know on my own
Do,
channel.
do your geography students know you're jumping on podcasts like this, having conversations?
They do, they do. And the other day, they were telling me, Miss, you have to do something crazy like going to North Korea or something so you can get more viewers to go to your YouTube channel. They are really cool. My students, the older ones, I don't tell it to the younger ones, but the older ones, my year 13 students, are super cool because they are adults practically. And so they find it the coolest thing ever.
Amazing. Well, great. Well, I wish yeah, wish I had a teacher like you at that age having these conversations and
Oh,
making
it's
it okay to
lovely.
talk about it. It's pretty cool.
Lovely to
Well,
say.
any last words for listeners to ponder on before we wrap it up, Selma?
Listen, we are at an age where even though there's been a bit of, of a retrocess and a bit of a regression in evolution recently, it that is only but temporary, and it's only the shadows screaming their last scream. We are at an age where we can no longer be burned in the fire like Giordano Bruno, the philosopher and the cosmological theorist, was burnt in the fire in the 1600s. In 1600, in Campo di Fiori in Rome, for saying that he had dreamt about Aristarchus's heliocentric model. Basically, he had an astral projection experience where he saw the planets evolving around the sun, right? We are no longer at an age where that happens to us. We are safe now to be ourselves. We can come out with these experiences and expand our consciousness awareness in doing so. But above all, this planet now needs you. Gaia needs you to center yourself, to expand in consciousness awareness so you can individually and through your communities also work on your communities, work individually to shift the current socioeconomic paradigm into one where we have left the animal behind and have truly become the human, so that we can become the societies, the astral cities that we see in the astral. Bring it to the below, as above, so below. This would be the message. And be happy. And be happy.
Absolutely. Selma, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation and yeah, appreciate it. And I've learned a new word today as well, anthroposophy. Is that, did I say it right?
That's it.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Thank you so much, my lovely. And I have no doubt
Thank you
this is
for
going to go
having
down
me.
really well. You're very welcome, my love.
Oh,
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you. Bye bye.